Yo, what's going on, guys? I got a teardrop tattoo in prison here, coming at you with a new tier list. This one, as you can tell from the title, is a raw top heavy tier list. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, wow, this is probably the greatest thing I've ever heard of, and you would be correct in saying that. But also, you might look at this list and think, why are these top heavies placed where they are? These top heavies are shit. I would never use these top heavies, and that is the biggest mistake you can make right there, because that is wrong. They're not shit, but they're unexpected, and that's what makes a really good raw top heavy. If your enemy doesn't expect that to come through, it's gonna probably still not hit, but there's an off chance that it still might. And then you think those are definitely the S tier ones, all right? The ones that they just never expected. They're like, whoa, this move is actually in their set. They have top heavies. That's pretty crazy. So we're going to go through. We're going to rate them on the series that we always do. S through D. D being dog shit. S being super sweet. And, you know, we just have to do this because it's really important. You know, I bring tier lists for the people, all right? If these weren't made, how would you guys even know what's the best raw top heavy in the game? Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So let's hop in with the D tier. Well, starting off in the D tier, we have Valkyrie, and you might be thinking to yourself, but Tony, there's the option, most people think that she's going to go into a shield bash. And while that might be true, I actually use the heavies pretty frequently on Valkyrie from basically any side. And I think that most Valkyrie players would also use their heavies pretty frequently as well. And that's why it's in the D tier, because it's kind of an expected move. You think that a Valkyrie might throw a heavy through. It just kind of makes sense. That's why it's low. Next up in D tier, we have Scent. And first off, I'll tell you a couple things about Scent. Light attacks, you're not going to throw those. The zone, you're definitely not going to throw that. Shinobi gets to feint his zone now, but the Scent can't. So you know what that leaves? That leaves heavies. So basically, Scent's entire kit is based around heavies. And throwing a raw top heavy is definitely not out of the ordinary. It definitely happens pretty frequently. Heavies from all directions from the Scent. You got to pressure your opponent. That's basically all this guy has. So that's why, you know, people expect them to come through. They're pretty much waiting for heavies. You just walk up to someone and then zone or something, or light attack. You don't expect that, but heavies you definitely do, and that's why Scent is in D tier. Next in the D tier, we have the Gucci flip-flop man A-LAWBRINGER, and I'll tell you a couple things. Again, one, throwing lights from neutral with A-LAWBRINGER, not a good idea. You'll probably get parried. So actually, being able to open up with like a heavy in a certain direction is pretty much expected, but I find that the top heavy tends to get parried less than the side heavies, so throwing a top heavy to start off a chain is definitely something that you would expect. A lot of characters you will see in this list, though, also have dashing top heavies, which are much better, but I'm not actually rating those. I'm rating raw top heavies. So while those ones might be very good and stuff, some other ones might just be terrible. So A-LAWBRINGER is in the D just because, you know, he's just, I would expect that you have to do this. There's no opener from A-LAWBRINGER, so he's kind of forced to attack. And if you get blocked by a light, you can't continue your chain, so you got to throw those heavies. Final character in the D tier is going to be Warlord. Warlord's top heavy is actually the fastest of his heavies. Again, if you look at here on the side, that's just not very... looking at it, I don't know what the difference is, but it's definitely used more frequently. It does a little bit less damage, and it's just kind of a thing that a lot of people do. If you can't get to a wall with his pin, his little throw pin right there, your main thing to do is top heavy. Throwing around top heavies are pretty much, you know, they're pretty alright. At least you can trade, you know, with hyper armor on the side heavies, and it'll do a little bit more damage. But when you trade with the top heavy right there, you can at least maybe potentially get another attack following through after it. And I think the top heavies come through pretty frequently on the Warlord, more so than his other heavies that he throws out. So that's why he is in D. Now we're going to be moving into the C tier. The C tier, again, it's just slightly more not usable ones, if that makes sense. That might not make sense, but basically ones that you wouldn't... They're a little bit less unexpected, but you still see them thrown out, you know, a decent amount. So that's why they're in here, but just more so than... less so than D. It's like a descending type order thing that we're doing here. It's kind of weird. But anyway, starting off in the C tier is going to be the Black Prior. The top heavy is a little bit more unexpected than the side heavies because it's pretty damn slow, as you would see right there. But I do see a lot of Black Priors do it because everyone is pretty much expecting a little bit of a tenebris right there. So what you do is you throw a top heavy through occasionally. The side heavies are more. If this was a raw side heavy, list, Blackbriar might be in D, because that's probably the more heavy of choice. So the fact that we still have this top heavy, which does a decent amount of damage, and it's a little bit more not expected, but you still throw it through, puts Blackbriar into C. Next in the C tier, we have Shaman. Now, Shaman, it is pretty much expected for you to throw heavies through, but the more expected thing to do is actually the soft feint from there. And let me tell you, sometimes, you know, I think most of the time, I'd say usually like 80% of the time, people would probably be expecting a soft feint of some sort or whatnot. But you know what? You just throw a heavy through sometimes, and it's able to connect. You know, people sometimes expect it to come through, but it is definitely more unexpected than what you would normally see a Shaman do. So sometimes, you know, maybe just throw one through on Shaman. You might get lucky, but it's still nothing super crazy out of the ordinary, so that's why it's only in C. Next in the C tier is the Shaolin. Now, there are some other things with the Shaolin, like his dash forward heavy, I would say, is slightly better because it gives better range, and it's pretty much the same exact animation, just, again, one covers more range, so that's why the top heavy is a little bit more unexpected, but at the same time, Shaolin does have a little bit of an infinite combo, and he can use it instead of his lights to kind of go into his key stance or what have you. So you can do a couple different things with it. So it's not totally unexpected, but you would just more so see probably the dashing forward top heavy versus the normal top heavy. Next in C, we've got Nobubu, and basically with Nobushi, the heavies are, you know, they come through relatively decently. I'd say more so you would see maybe something from Hidden Stance, because if someone blocks a heavy out of Hidden Stance, you get a free kick in there, but the heavies do chain into a lot of stuff. There's some things that you can kind of do with a Nobushi. Basically, you can either, once you hit, maybe delay a kick going after there, but another good thing, after the raw top heavy, you feint it, people kind of expect something else to come through right there. You might be able to get a nice little GB on there. So at the same time, although they are relatively slow, that's why they're not in D, because they're not like the most expected things. You definitely see Nobushis throw raw heavies from all directions through. Next up in C, we have Orochi, and then you might be thinking, but Tonya, Orochi should be S tier because only lights boom. And you know what? You know, lights do come through from the Orochi pretty frequently. I will say that. But the heavies aren't actually too bad. I'd say the side heavies are definitely more unexpected because they are just massive parry bait. But a lot of times maybe you're just pop people, and then all of a sudden you do this. The timing is different, and look at this, Warden didn't even try to block it, maybe because it's a bot, but anyways, regardless, the Orochi, it's not the main source of what they use, but they can actually use some pretty good damage, and then you can chain out into your lights after, which is crazy, so it's not totally unexpected for an Orochi to throw heavy through. Now we're going to be moving into the B tier. B tier ones are basically, well, you know, ones that occasionally they throw them through. Sometimes you don't expect it. You know, you might. It's like the average tier, but it's kind of hard for me to basically explain what the average in form of raw top heavy means. You'll just have to take my word for it. So starting off, we have the big man, and a lot of people might be thinking, what? But Tony, no, what? Shigoki? You put him now in S tier? I thought you were a biased YouTuber. But anyways, you'll have to just wait and see. But anyways, Shigoki's raw heavies, they actually. The animation now is kind of, it's kind of weird when a Shigoki just throws a raw heavy through. It's kind of got a strange timing for parries and stuff, so it's not, like, completely unexpected for, like, you know, someone to throw it. Like, you wouldn't not throw a top heavy in on Shigoki. I mean, it's probably not the best thing to do just because people can dodge it easier, and then the side heavies have way better tracking. So you would probably see those more frequently. That's why this is in B, but it's not completely out of the ordinary for Shigoki's, you know, just kind of throw a top heavy through just to try to open something up, especially maybe after like a Demon's Embrace when they're on the ground. You just try to hit them with the top heavy, and maybe instead of a top light, you might be able to catch them off guard with it. So it's nothing super crazy, but at the same time, some people might not expect it to come through. Next, in lay B tier, we have the Conqueror. Now you're probably thinking as well, so like Conqueror's got a couple options, right? Just a normal raw top heavy is a little bit unexpected, to be completely honest. It's not the most out of the world thing, but you know, there are a lot of other options. Like Conqueror can charge up his top heavy, maybe throw it through, and then a lot of the times they either go into little Teoflegum, perhaps they cancel into a bash. You know, there are options to go through here, but a raw top heavy does actually come through, especially with having an infinite combo on the Conqueror. I do see this pretty frequently, not necessarily in duels, but you do see it more in like a Dominion setting. So it is kind of unexpected, but at the same time, it's not like super out of the ordinary. So next on the B tier is going to be Gladiator, and when I look at Gladiator, I say probably the top heavy is the most unexpected type attack he's got through. I feel like just because the animation is slightly weird. Like if you look at a side heavy, you know, a lot of the time some people might think that you know, those are going to come through. I throw them pretty frequently, but the top heavy just for some reason is a little bit like weirder with the animation, and it is more susceptible to getting parried. But at the same time, Glad has very like quick feints that he can do, and he can feint very like a lot of attacks. He's got a pretty good stamina pool, so people are probably expecting you to feint it, but you know, you just throw it through. Might be a little unexpected, and all of a sudden someone gets a fucking trident in their neck. So that's why it's in B, but again, it's not too unexpected. That's why we can't put it higher. Next up in the B tier, we have Chiandi, or Tiandi, as you know, a lot of people say. But anyways, basically with this character, I say more so you would see that the dashing forward top heavy would be the more usable one. That's more expected, I would say, just because of the hyper armor that's applied on it, as the normal one doesn't have it. But I still think heavies get thrown through on Tiandi. A decent amount. You can get interrupted out of them, though, with, like, guard break vulnerability and such. But with it, again, because of the very quick follow-up lights that you can do in a different direction after, I think that the top is exactly fine. I mean, any direction is fine, because you can just light in one of the other two directions that you didn't attack. And a lot of the time, those ones go through because of how quick the follow-up is on it. So, at the same time, while the raw top heavy in itself isn't very expected, heavies getting thrown through on Tiandi do happen pretty frequently, so that's why it's in B. The final character in the B tier is going to be Jiang Jun, the top heavy, as you can see right there. Relatively slow, but it does have hyper armor on it. The one, again, that you would see more frequently is the dashing forward heavy, because you can actually kick someone in the shins, and as you can see, that warden got very hurt from that. And that wall splats, and it's just a better mix-up tool. And you can also feint it when you dash forward as well, and it kind of throws people more off just because of the animation. The top heavy right there is definitely more unexpected, but again, it's kind of similarly to that of Tiandi. It's not out of the ordinary to throw it through, because again, you got very quick follow-up lights that you can do after that you can delay relatively quickly. So I mean, well, if you get hit by the raw top heavy, that might be a little bit sad on your part, but at the same time, I would actually do it, so it's not completely out of the ordinary for it to go through. Now we're going to be moving into the A tier. These attacks are, you know, pretty unexpected. You wouldn't probably, you know, I've said expect a lot of times, but you wouldn't think to see one of these attacks thrown through, but they're not the top of the top ones that are just like, what the, this is an attack. But anyway, starting out with it, we have A-LAWBRINGER. Again, well, most any attacks on A-LAWBRINGER are pretty hard to see, because most people are just waiting for some sort of counter, because, you know, man doesn't have too many openers. But a top heavy on A-LAWBRINGER, are you kidding me? That is just raw through there. You're definitely going to be expecting to see a guard break coming through there, just so that, you know, potentially then someone can, you know, do a little follow-up action with a block shove, maybe get you into some sort of combo, because, you know, this right here, not exactly the fastest attack in the game, and if you get hit by it, you deserve to be blinded and stunned, and you should die from it. Look at that. It's just, yeah, you don't see it too frequently. Next up in A, we have Peacekeeper, and let's be honest, any heavies thrown through by Peacekeeper are kind of out of the ordinary, especially at top, because at least with the sides, you can potentially do a bleed at the end to the top, but no one's going to just throw a top heavy and then bleed top as well. That's just kind of stupid. Your guard's going to be in that thing. But if you just saw a Peacekeeper just do this, I would honestly think that this person has zero idea what they're doing, or that they have 300 IQ and they just knew that you wouldn't expect it to come through, so that's why they threw it. Next up in A, we have Nuxia, and really anything besides lights on this character is kind of out of the ordinary, let's be honest. But with it, again, you can also do your traps from your heavy startups right here, and I say this is definitely more expected to see than just a heavy to go through, but you might be able to catch some people off guard. You just throw a top heavy through right there. It is very slow. Maybe catch someone maybe moving their guard out of the way or something to try to think that there's a trap coming through, but it turns out it's not. But look, I mean, this one you definitely wouldn't expect to see a Nuxia just run up to you and just hit you with that top heavy right there. And if you do hit it, it does quite a bit of damage, so you might get a little bit lucky. Next up on the list, we have Highlander. Now, Highlander, I was thinking about going into S, because honestly, if anyone tries to throw like some sort of heavy, they're probably gonna do it from Celtic Curse, because people expect maybe that, you know, to go in there to maybe flow into offensive. You can still flow into offensive from any like normal heavy, you just have to hold down the heavy button after it. But imagine just Highlander walks up to you and just right there, probably one of the slowest attacks in the game right there. If you get hit by that, you should probably just quit the game. But with it though, the only redeeming thing that I put to make it not into S was the fact that it does have hyper armor on it, so you can trade with it, and Highlander hits like a truck. So that's why it's not S, but it's still A, because if this ever happens, then you guys are actually insane. The final character in A is going to be Shinobi. Again, any type of heavy from Shinobi is not too frequently to see. You're mostly going to see, you know, some sort of double light backflip BS or whatever he does. One of these, you know, range guard break, something, you know, whatever he does. That's what Shinobi does. But for one thing, I would say that the side heavies are definitely more expected. Imagine just running up on Shinobi, just like, what's up, pressing, and then all of a sudden you're just like, yeah, yeet. If you get hit by that, you're kind of bad, but you know, it does have pretty decent damage, and you get a follow-up light with it, so it's not like terrible. It's definitely unexpected, I would say. Any type of heavy on Shinobi is pretty it doesn't happen too often, because, you know, he's mostly trying to like space you out and try to dodge out of your attacks. He's not really an aggressor, so you just doing this is probably could catch some people off guard. You might get lucky with it, but more often than not, you're probably just gonna get parried and be a little bit sad that you chose to do it. Now we're gonna be moving into the S tier. The S tier is the most unexpected of unexpected raw top heavies, and that's what makes them great, because simply no one is probably aware that these moves even exist from how little they get thrown out, but you might be able to use it to your advantage in some fights. Starting off, we have Kensei, and oh my god, Tony put Kensei in S tier again. Oh my, shut up, okay? Listen, people take this shit too seriously sometimes, I tell you what. But listen, Kensei has a lot of options from his top heavy. He can dash cancel it, and he can dash cancel into a GB or into a Helm Splitter or into a Swift Strike. He can dash any direction, so you can do that. That's like 3 options right there. He can also feint as a light from both sides. That's another option right there. He can also feint heavies and also feint those heavies. So that is kind of, you can do Nature's Wrath out of it. Are you kidding me? There is legitimately a ton. You can pommel strike from top heavy. But you know what you can also do? Just let that baby freaking ride out. All of those options, I'm sure this is the one people would expect to see the least. And let me tell you, it does pretty good damage, but it is so damn slow. That's why you don't see it too frequently, because you can get a guard broken out of this and interrupted out of this thing very damn easily, even just on reaction of seeing that right there. So it's definitely something you wouldn't see too frequently, and that's what makes it such an awesome raw top heavy. Next up in S, we have Warden. Definitely expect to see a potential finishing top heavy, but not just the raw top heavy. And again, you'll probably see some sort of opener. You're probably going to see a shoulder bash. But if someone just walked up to you and was like, yeah, yeet, right there, oh my gosh, the audacity behind that person. I definitely got to give them respect for that. But it is so slow. It is, you know, legitimately, I could probably put my controller down and then move my guard with my foot and still block that. And still probably just be like, they're not going to throw this. They're probably going to guard break me. But if you do it right here on Warden, mad respect. I give you props for that. S tier for sure. Next up, we have Berserker. And with a character that has all this hyper armor and stuff and trading, can go super fast. Just, if this happens right here, what do you do? What do you do? You can't continue a chain from it. It's just a top heavy. You can dash out of it, yes. But look at this. You throw this top heavy, and it's done. Alright, no hyper armor on it. One of the only attacks from Berserker that has like no hyper armor. And it's got a nice long wind up, and it takes a, you know, very long time to hit, and you can get dodged and punished pretty easily. But let me tell you, with all this little just fucking sometimes you just gotta slow it down and fucking two-hand someone in the head with a couple of axes. You know what? Sometimes you just gotta do it to get the job done. It's definitely an S tier raw top heavy. I don't think I've ever seen this thrown out ever in my entire life. Now, final character in S, and perhaps this is definitely my pick for the best raw top heavy in the game. It's gotta be Raider. Are you kidding me? let me tell you one thing. You know how I do my series on, like, you know, do people know about the sprint attack? Do they know about the jump attack? Let me tell you something they definitely don't know about. They don't know about the Raider Raw Top Heavy. But even more importantly that, they don't know about the Raider fucking triple Raw Top Heavy. Let me tell you, there is not too many things more satisfying than hitting at least one of those. But if you hit 3 of those, you've probably ascended into a new being, and you probably had such feelings that you can't describe. There's not too many things. Like, are you kidding me? Just the amount of pure strength it is through every single swing with this. This man gives it his all. And he can do 3 in a row. Are you kidding? That is insane. But the Raw Top Heavy on Raider, it is just, it's beautiful. I mean, it sucks, but it's beautiful at the same time. Alright guys, and that is going to do it for this tier list. Now, please don't take this one too seriously. I could have actually ranked Raw Top Heavies on how good they actually are in the game, but that's boring. I'd rather do it like this, and I think this is more entertaining, and I hope that you guys enjoyed it as well. Make sure you drop a like. I accidentally went to the multiplayer map for some reason. Battle Resolution, who cares? The Vikings are probably winning already. Yep, they were. Just saw it briefly, but I knew they were. But anyways, leave a like on this, comment if you enjoyed, and also subscribe to the channel. Appreciate all your guys' support, I really do. It's been your boy, Tony. Talk to you in the next one. Peace.